Hello, this is some random guy from Bulgaria. Please don't at me for my very basic opinions. Unions. Mandatory union memberships. However positive they are, however successful they are economically, are an infringement to people's rights. I don't think the government should be able to force people into unions. I don't think people should be forced to pay for an organization that they don't have a choice in being a part of. Now, you might say, well, if someone becomes a trucker or whatever, uh, that's their choice. If it's mandatory, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think so. I don't think that governments should be able to force you to be a part of a union. I don't think that governments should force people to choose whether or not to avoid an industry or be part of a union. And I think if someone wants to leave a union, they should be capable of doing so within a month. No more than a month. If it's more than a month, then there's no point in being in a union because you don't have any real freedoms. Now, on to Australia. If the government can make protesting illegal, if your union is detrimental to economic forces, then you don't have a right to protest. Remove the government. Just whatever legal structure is making that possible needs to be removed yesterday. No, the day before yesterday. No, like 100 years ago. That should not be a thing. On to New Zealand. New Zealand, where do I start? Basically, the entirety of the third part of Nostalgia Chick's video, Lindsay Elias's video on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the third part, all of that. I mean, seriously, if a country, if a corporation enters a country and orders it to remove people's protections, protesting protections, every single one of those people who submitted to that demand needs to be not only removed from power, but put on trial for sedition. Treason or sedition, your pick. That is unacceptable in a free society. That is categorically unacceptable in a free society. Now, moving on to Hollywood. If a union is so detrimental to people's ability to make money that it's useless, functionally useless, that they have to fire their people, fire their agents, and seriously, unions and Hollywood, it's not a very good mix, you know? I mean, they have agents. Now, sure, not every profession under the banner of Hollywood movies and whatever is the same as acting and writing and whatever, but seriously, outside of a series, it doesn't make sense. It's a seasonal work thing. Every project is different. It doesn't make any sense. Next, comic books. No. No, if you're in accounting, you cannot order use whatever legal protections there are for unions to demand that like your bosses give you magical special power to decide who not to work with. That is the stupidest, dumbest, most offensive misuse of the principles of fucking organized work ever. Like, this is the stupidest thing you could possibly think to do. And I've known this for a little while, but for months, I've been baffled that you would do that. Like, even if you are a toxic, psychotic, sadistic asshole of a person, why would you think that was like a thing that you could do? What is wrong with you? Like, even in the Hollywood, even in the uh, rich American people bubble, even if you were hired because, like, YouTube or whatever, like, that is the stupidest thing you could possibly think to do. Boo you, even if you were right, even if they were like working with actual Nazis, even then, you would still be in the wrong because you are insane. That is not how reality is supposed to work. That is not how reality works. You are insane, stupid people. Boo you. Also, someone calling a certain artist a loser is not, that's not a toxic work environment. A toxic work environment is when your boss feeds you cereal, tells you, we're gonna change the system, man, we're gonna change the system. And then, like, fires you 5 seconds later because you haven't been putting in your 13 hours of whatever. A toxic work environment is some lady over at Blizzard being made to have her desk face away from the entrance door through the glass wall so that her boss can stare at her legs. And when someone who sees that is weirded out by this and then like gets annoyed at someone stealing credit for his work on this other thing, and then they like go to HR, and then like the next day they're fired because not because he spoke up, but because imagine I'm doing air quotes. Imagine some random Bulgarian guy doing air quotes. Like the guy like getting fired because work culture blah, or the culture in the office or blah blah blah. That's our bullshit. And that's all I have to say for unions, at least for now.